Greetings and salutations, one and all. Welcome to the end of a brand new welcome to the end of another week of the night shift with DJ Kevin Steele. Yeah, getting tongue-tied to close out the week, you know. It's Real Talk Wednesday, also known as Marlon's favorite night shift show. How you doing? Kicking it off tonight with a little Kells.
Tell me, girl, what you mean to me? Think about all of the time that we spend Carnival Monday to
Little Kells starting us off tonight.
what you mean to me?
It's called Love Stick.
What you mean to me? Woman, you really came good. Like it, me with the love stick, girl. Forget what you wanna do. Find yourself, don't know what I do. One thing for sure, there is no one of you. Can't bring you down, no matter what they do. Them know. Hey, girl, you got that good voodoo. You know what to do. All them man want to knock. Oh, hit me with the love stick. Now my whole life is about you. Yeah, hit me with the love stick. There's no treasure more than you. And when you whine, good Lord, there's nothing that I can do. Yeah, hit me with the love stick. Yeah, hit me with the love stick. Come on. I never let you go now. Come on. The jamming feels so good, baby. Come on. You are the one I need now. Woman, you really came good. Like it do with the love stick. I want you to understand what you've done to me, girl. Yes, I'm falling up again. I need you to take a little second and pause. 'Cause you got the
Want to say welcome to those on Facebook Live.
girl, forget what you wanna do.
Big ups to those on TuneIn Radio, the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele.
For sure, they
All the affiliates across the globe.
don't know matter what they do. Them,
Big ups to those on NIE Radio up there in New Jersey.
hey girl, you got that good voodoo. You know what to do. All them
So glad to have you all. I couldn't do it without you.
now my life is up
You have my word, I wouldn't even try.
with the love stick. There's no treasure.
This one of Kills, it's called Love Stick.
Wine, good Lord, there's nothing that I can do. Yeah, hit me with the love stick. Yeah, hit me with the love stick.
Invite you to call a friend, tell a friend, call an enemy. Your friends of your friends, friends of your enemies.
Come on,
Enemies of your friends.
good baby.
Call everybody. Tell them night shift is on right now.
Woman, you really came good.
Real Talk Wednesday.
With the love stick. What you mean to me? Tell me, girl, what you mean to me?
Want to say thank you to my segment sponsor,
How we spend Carnival.
Pulse Media Group,
Tell me what
for innovative streaming and recording solutions. When being in the moment is priceless, give them a call. 754-999-6020.
love stick. My turn,
Tell them DJ Kevin Steele sent you.
take you with the love stick. Oh gosh, girl. Hit me with the love stick. Baby. My turn. Take you with the love stick.
Yeah, my turn to hit you with the love stick. Now how it go when you get hit with the love stick? Is it pleasurable? Is it painful? Is it different for a man than it is for a woman
Hit you with the love stick.
to get hit with the love stick? How it really work out? Numbers to call, numbers to text that get you in touch. 773-789-STEW, 773-789-7839. That's 773-789-7839. Okay, so you can call, you can text, you can WhatsApp, you can Telegram. If those don't work for you, you can Skype me on kevin.stew. Those are the ways to get in touch directly right now. And of course, if you're locked in with us on Facebook Live, that's another means right there. So inviting you guys that are on right now to share. Don't be shy. Just go ahead and share it to everybody. The night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Alright, cool. So let me do this real quick and get rid of this device. Okay. Alright, so the line is open. for you to call, text, WhatsApp, Telegram, and you can also, like I said, you can Skype me. So when it comes, I titled tonight's broadcast "Pleasure Principle," and I did so based on a little bit of last night's presentation. And there was a segment of it as we looked at vaginal health where it was mentioned that, some at a point of concern is when having pain in sex. Now, this becomes really interesting because there's a school of thought that says, without a little bit of pain, then if there isn't a little bit of pain, then you're not doing it right. But how much is enough? How much? What does that little bit constitute? Hey JC, how you doing? Thank you for last night. I let me tell you, it was great. If no one has told you, it was great. Okay, all right. So if those that weren't here, they missed out. But never fear, you can go and check it out. Check out the podcast, The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. You can check out YouTube, same name, The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. So look it up, check it out, comment, email me, whichever way you want to share your views. Okay. But yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you, JC. Thank you. All right. So when it comes to the art of lovemaking, how is it viewed by men? You ever stop to wonder? And as a sex therapist, Laurie Watson says, she did an article in Psychology Today a few years back, and she talks about men and sex. And she says, over my career as a sex therapist, I've had the opportunity to sit with thousands of men as they've discussed their sexual feelings, sex lives, and fantasies. She didn't get to sit with me yet, but, there's still time. Obviously, I don't know what it feels like to be a man. But I've had the honor of listening to the male perspective on sexual relationships. And while every man is different, of course, there are some common themes. Well, let's see, JC. Let's see how we play this tonight. Let's see how we navigate the minutes as they roll by into hours, and whether or not you say good night to me or good morning. We'll see how it works out. All right? So, looking at some things as it relates to sex and men. And sex therapist Laurie Watson says sex begins in the body. While women's desire for sex may be prompted by their mind, memory, or emotional feelings of connection, for men, desire is physical. Men have massive amounts of testosterone coursing through their veins, pushing and driving them towards sexual expression. Erections spring at the slightest provocation in young men. And some old men too. For an adult man, seeing his wife or partner coming out of the shower naked causes his body to react. It is hard to overestimate the way his body chemistry directs his mind's psychology towards the sexual. Well, I'll say it's not all men that sees their partner coming out of the shower and immediately they're ready to go. So it's a general statement, and I guess it happens for most men. Eh, not necessarily for all, and it doesn't mean that the fire has died. I really don't believe, because I I watch my partner go into the shower and get out of the shower on many occasions, and sometimes it goes one way, sometimes it goes another. It's just the way it is. But we'll talk some more about that later on. For men, it's another thing, another point that she has come to realize, that Laurie has come to realize. For men, sex is a hunger. So, yes, men want to be full. But his craving for sex is like a craving for chocolates. Those of you that can relate to a chocolate craving, each sexual episode holds the exquisite possibility of a surprise-filled confection. Maybe creamy smooth or buttery rich, perhaps a little raw and bittersweet or silky sweet. His mind is captivated by the thought of an opportunity to feel delighted and surprised. A day is hardly complete without dessert. Yet, the context of the relationship, for instance, a fight with his wife, that can spoil the appetite. There's also the thought that sex is energy. Sexuality infuses a man's intimate relationships with potential and excitement. The hormonal energy gives him the drive and aggression to pursue his life's purpose and work, and to pursue his partner. He pushes through daily monotony, tantalized by the fantasy of a sexual reward at the end of a hard day. Now, how many men actually relate to that happening? I don't know. Some men, the way how we work in today's society, it doesn't seem like there's any place for sexual exploits, and intimacy is more along the lines of the psychological connection that you may have with your partner or partners, as the case may be, so that you it's metaphysical, so to speak. So if this still happens, kudos to you, more power to you. It is also thought that men view sex as excitement. It is it's life most thrilling adventure. His body is a great pleasure machine that he'd like to enjoy at full throttle. And since orgasms is usually reliable and easy, a variety of sexual acts, positions, and rhythms seem to be a fantastic way to explore and elevate his gratification. Every filtration, smile, innuendo, every flirtation, my bad, smile, innuendo, shapely figure, or sexual image, whether fantasized or real, is a hit on the male brain. His brainwaves spike with elation just at the hint of something or someone reminding him of sex. I do not agree. I don't. I'm on the road every day, and I see a lot of smiles. On occasions, there are some innuendos. The occasional flirtation here and there. Tons of shapely figures. And I don't have that reaction. Is there something wrong with me? Maybe I need to sit on the therapist's couch, and somebody, we need to have some sort of a dialogue about what is going on. you know, well, maybe this works better for younger men, but I'm not an older man. I just sit right there in the middle. So some of these things should be working with me, right? I don't know. I maybe I'm wired a little bit differently. Laurie goes on to say sex is the way he gives love. Now, this is an interesting conclusion to come to. She says the moment his partner gets turned on is often the moment men describe as most sexually satisfying. It's baffling to men when they are called selfish because of their preference for sexual connection. In their hearts, there is an expectation of mutual, exquisite bodily pleasure. He often concocts and fantasizes about how to make it better for her, begging for information about her erotic desires just so he can improve as a lover. That I can relate to. That I can relate to. Because, but in my opinion, it comes from another place. It comes from the place where society says that men have to perform at a certain level to make sure that their partners are satisfied. So it is up to the man to bring that satisfaction to the bedroom. And it's like the partner has no role to play in this. They just receive. And that is one of the things that cause discord in relationships, in my opinion. Because if the woman is of the opinion that, hey, this man is supposed to bring this pleasure to me, and she does something similar to what Althea spoke about in Bar Talk on Sunday, where it is assume the missionary position and lay there like a plank. And then the man is supposed to make all the magic happen. That's a problem. But this man still would be one to say, all right, tell me the things that work for you. Tell me the things that don't work for you. And in his head, he goes and he sits down and he thinks, all right. And this is where the fantasizing comes in, and some of the planning and some of even consulting with other male friends would come in. If you have friends of that kind of caliber, that kind of, that can address something on that level. And the conversations start. And then they take that home to see how it plays out. If they have close female friends, it would be those friends that they consult on and see if they can get some insider trading information. Another thing that Laurie says about men and their view on sex, they say sex is love. And she goes on to say sexual release makes men feel like they're finally home. After the world's hurts and challenges, sex embodies love and care and provides soothing and support. While he may be accused of only wanting sex, most men want and feel a much more emotional connection than a simple bodily release. Making love literally creates a deep feeling of an attachment to his partner and spurs relational generosity, faith, and optimism. Being desired by his partner can be the single most reassuring part of his relationship. And aspects of this I can relate to and agree with. Typically, the theory is all men think about and want is sex. So it is easy to understand where a man views sex as love. But in the very same way that sex is pleasurable, it is seen as just that also. So how do you strike that balance? How do you find that place where that man would say, okay, I'm having this moment of love making with my partner versus we just gonna get it on. And I think that is one of the things that has baffled sex therapists for years, which is probably also the same thing that keeps their doors open, gives them a job. Because again, what they also do is a practice. And it's a practice because nobody has gotten it right. So you have to keep looking into it, right? Now, while most women may wish for an emotional connection before having a physical connection, for men, sexual connection is often necessary to feel safe enough for emotional vulnerability. Ultimately, male sexual drive in a relationship is a gift. It's another path toward love. So, if you have that man that, and I think this creates a problem with establishing relationships. So you have that man that is always leaning towards things on a more sexual level than what you would consider the more meaningful emotional connection. Well, men apparently err on the more sexual side of things, the more physical connection side. I know me personally as a man, I am very visual. So you tell me how you feel about something and you show me how you feel about something, and I'll remember, or I'll be able to relate to what you're saying. I'll have that connection that much easier if I see it than if I hear it. Bless up, Bobby. Good to see you. I can relate to that, and thank you for joining me and adding some testosterone to this group. Um, so and Bobby, you can correct me if, well, not if I'm wrong, but you can share your views if they differ from mine. Because as we go through the information tonight, it's not a matter of, I think they're wrong about this or they're right about this. It's whether you agree or not based on your own understanding. And then we can work through some things and see where we can go to develop as a group. Because at the end of the day, it's all about how we can grow together. It doesn't really matter the topic and how it may be presented. At the end of the day, it's how we grow together. This is how we relate. And some people look at these things and they go, I can't believe they're talking about this on that broadcast. What kind of a thing is that? And listen, it's a real thing. Because if you don't have some of these discussions, if you don't have some of these conversations with your partners, with your friends, with even your children, then that is how you end up with having broken relationships. And if you don't want to agree with me, that's fine. But you check it out and see what conclusion you come to. 773-789-STEW is the number that gets you in touch. 773-789-STEW. You can call, you can text, you can WhatsApp, you can Telegram. And you can Skype me on kevin.stew. That's my handle. kevin.stew. We're talking about the pleasure principle. So that basically was how we were looking at how Laurie Watson, a sex therapist, says, based on a number of men coming to her in therapy, this is how men view sex. Now, as a sex therapist, she also speaks with women because not only men have issues that they would go to a therapist for. basically what she has to say when it comes to women is many women find sex to be the deepest form of love and connection. And many women are very sexually oriented. While a man's orgasm may be quicker, here is often more powerful. Hers is more often more powerful, and her incredible capacity for pleasure could include multiple orgasms. Well, considering that for most men, it's, listen, you better get yours because if I get mine and you haven't gotten yours, then I'm going to have to owe you one because that's it. And that's just the reality of it. It's just how we're built. On the odd occasion, a man might be able to go a couple more times and you get that result. But for the most part, let's face it, one and done. So something to consider here is the ways that women express their sexuality and their experiences are often very different from their male partners. And these are some of the common ways that women may differ from men. For women, sex begins in the mind. Now, remember what we had said about men, that it begins in the body. So, for men, it is a more physical experience, and for women, it's more a mental experience. Now, men are often disappointed that a woman, a woman, doesn't crave it in her body as much as he does. Yeah, 50s and multiple times. If that's the case, then, that doctor, whichever doctor that anybody sees that can make that happen, then, let's go. I'm pretty sure people will be lined up, men will be lined up. In fact, men and women would be lined up because women would want to know what it is that they can do. Because some of the men won't want to go. So they'll need to get that information. So everybody would line up to go see that doctor for real. Now, as I was saying, men are sometimes disappointed that she doesn't crave it in her body as much as he does. But her body is very different hormonally. And this, men, is where we need to pay attention to our female partners. Testosterone does cause physiological desire in both genders, but to differing degrees. Proportionately, the male hormonal drive is a loud scream, and hers is a whisper. For her, it's the fantasizing, the remembering, and the imaging hot sex that revs her engine. So it's more mental and emotional. In times of infatuation or falling in love, when she is constantly thinking about being together, her sexual appetite is high. And at this point, her arousal is easy. So it is in this time that men need to pay attention to what is going on when they're developing new relationships or when they're in their relationship and they're having that good time when they're still in the honeymoon phases of their relationships. This is where men need to capitalize on that kind of sexual activity if this is what they desire. I want to say thank you to my segment sponsor real quick before I go any further. Thank you, Pauls, for that initial segment, and thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands for sponsoring this segment of the broadcast. Althea SU is a licensed massage therapist that comes to you operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade, South Palm Beach counties. And she brings her table, she brings her oils, and over 20 years of massage therapy experience. She comes to you COVID-free. She'd like to leave that way. And outside of paying her, she only requests that you get off her table and go sleep somewhere else when she is done. Althea is also a personal trainer, certified personal trainer. So if you're looking for a personal trainer and you are in these areas, Broad County, North Miami-Dade, South Palm Beach counties, you can call her up. She also actually she is looking also into doing virtual training. So consult her. Give her a call. 954-655-9000. That's 954-655-9000. You can also email her at Thealater, Thealater, Thealater at att.net. Tell her DJ Kevin Stew sent you. All right? Cool. So, as we continue, how women view sex, and they see sex as being desired. And sex researcher Meredith Shivers says being desired is the orgasm for women. While seeing an attractive man might cause a small spike of excitement in a woman, some women are more visual than others. It's the thought of his reaction to her. You know, when she goes, I wonder if he thinks I am hot. It's that. It hints her brain like, it hits her brain like a lightning bolt. Knowing that her man is hungry for her engages her imagination and ignites sexy thoughts in the brain. Just as men often expect abundant sex after marriage, women have expectations of lots of continuing romance that assures her of her sexual desirability. It's interesting that they say that, because as a child, I remembered thinking, boy, when I get married, every day, twice on Saturday, 3 times on Sunday. And then I got married. And let me tell you something. My wedding night was, okay, let's get the stuff in the house, take a shower. I'm tired. Go to sleep. That was my wedding night. We were so beat, drained. There was no sex happening that night. We were tired. And I guess having lived together, that night was pretty much just another night. It was the end of an amazing day. Yes. And sometimes having an amazing day could lead to an amazing night. But this night led to some amazing sleep. But I digress. Women see, we're looking at the pleasure principle. For those of you who are just joining in, tonight's topic is the pleasure principle, and it looks at how men view sex, how women view sex, and how to make it better. And we ask the question, you know, where does pain come in where pleasure is concerned? At what point is it that you get to and you say, boy, you know, I didn't feel it. It didn't hurt me, so it wasn't right. You know, what kind of pain has to be presented at that point? But before we go there, we're looking at how women view sex. And they say sex is a mixed bag, according to Laurie Watson, sex therapist. She says, blessings, blessings, G. Um, she says, most women do love sex, but desire can easily be derailed by tiredness. Like, you see, just basically what I was telling you about on the wedding night. It can be derailed by tiredness, it can be derailed by resentment, or the physiological problems of pain or menopause. In fact, without the physiological driver of testosterone, a main task for women is to turn off the inner brakes. This says sex therapist Emily Nagoski. The distractibility of the laundry, the children, and work, or the inhibiting voices inside that tell her no because of her history or religion. Yeah, religion. That can cause some problems in the bedroom, can't it? Or the concept of religion. Women often come to bed willing to have a good experience, but not really wanting or craving sex until aroused. And sometimes getting to the peak of arousal can be a bumpy climb. For many women, it may take up to 45 minutes. Experiencing regular orgasms is not as easy for women as it is for men, but it is necessary for continued desire. So, while men love variety, women may prefer a tried and true position or routine because there's more guarantee of her pleasure, which allows her now to relax in the moment. Now, let's think about this timeline for a moment, where a woman, it is said, comes to bed willing but not necessarily aroused. So now you have to, because she's willing to do the act but she's not aroused, now you have to get that going. And that may take up to 45 minutes. But if women are more mental, then isn't it possible to be getting her into this moment from before? And some women never experience an orgasm. JC, I get that. And I blame communication for something like that. I really believe, and of course, this is my opinion. Again, I'm a DJ, not a DR, so you can take my opinion and go whichever way you want with it. For those of you who want to talk about this some more, please feel free to call in 773-789-STEW, 773-789-7839. If you're far away, you can't call, text, WhatsApp, or Telegram. Use Skype and hit me up on kevin.stew. Now, for a woman that has the capacity to have an orgasm, so if it is a case, in my opinion, if it's a case where there isn't a medical condition that prevents that from happening, why should a woman never in her life experience an orgasm? What is going on so that they cannot be taken to that place of pleasure where they experience that ultimate release? What is going on? Is it something traumatic? Is it something that every time they get touched on that spot on their neck, that it triggers them, and because it relates to a traumatic experience, they shut down? Is it because they're not well? Is it because of religion that has told them that they cannot have that much pleasure because now they're sinning? Sometimes she feels rushed. Here we go. Again, this is where I say I blame communication. You as a woman have your partner. You've never experienced the thrill of an orgasm, and this is your partner. You really want to say to me that you cannot sit down and have an adult conversation to say, and when I say an adult conversation, have a mature conversation. Be mature enough to say, okay, babe, here's what I want you to do. Here's how I want you to do this. Because because I don't feel like I'm getting all that I can get out of this experience. So let us try this. Or how do you feel about trying this? Because, let's face it, some of us men don't want to be told how to do things. We come into these relationships and we feel that we are armed with the most of experience. We come in knowing it all, man a gal is long time, old Jamaican in Jamaican parlance. And we feel that we don't need to be guided along the way. Some men need to take their time, thus making sure she experiences romance. We need romance more than sex. that comment right there caused me to stop in my tracks, because we just hit that on that in this point that Laura gave us. So, and again, as I was saying, it leads to it speaks to that communication. That communication is an aspect of romance. In my opinion, for a woman, it's that aspect of romance that leads to that opening up of herself, that giving of herself to that man. Because let's face it, as a man, we're typically ready to get it on. Typically, because we operate from a more physical side. And we looked at that earlier. So for women, where it comes more on the emotional side, that conversation needs to happen. And women, if you can't have that conversation, then maybe you don't deserve to have that orgasm. Maybe you deserve to feel rushed because you're not talking. Closed mouths don't get fed. So if there's something that you're desiring, why not talk about it? And if you're in a relationship that is sexual, or has a sexual component to it, then you shouldn't really be having any inhibitions at this point. If you're in a sexual relationship and you can't talk about that aspect of your relationship, then you need not be in a sexual relationship. Because you're not mature enough to handle a sexual relationship. And that speaks to a level of maturity that most of us seem to be missing. We're not communicating. Why are we not communicating? What are we afraid of? We don't want to feel ashamed that we don't know how to find that woman's G-spot. Well, look how many women can't even find it themselves. They're all elusive. It's psychological. Now, of course, there is a spot, a physical spot. But you can play with it all you want. If that woman is not mentally there, it won't have that effect that you're desiring. So, why are we not connecting? What is missing? And the women who have never had orgasms or rarely do, is there something that you need to be changing? Do you now need to really bring that aspect of communication into your relationship, where you're talking throughout the day about what it is that you're desiring at the end of the day or in the middle of the day, when you can have a quickie and it be the most amazing thing, but if it is set up right, if you're open and honest enough if you're mature enough to have that dialogue, then I believe that will change this whole, boy, I can't tell the last time I've had an orgasm, or I've never had an orgasm. And men, please, I beg of you, take some time to not only talk with that woman, but to listen to that woman, to actively listen to that woman. Listen to your partners. Listen, one thing is for sure. If she's going to give it to you, you're going to get it. So there's no need to rush it. And if you have to rush it, then you should be preparing for it from before. So you need to be doing what you need to do to get her into that place where you can get going and get it on and get done. So what is involved in making that happen? Well, that dialogue, that communication, that maturity that you need to bring to the table to have that dialogue. Because your ego may very well be hurt. When she tells you, well, you are thinking in your head that last time that you really put it down. You really gave it to her and you were great. And she is saying, well, remember that last time? And you're like, yeah. Yeah. Big up your chest and you beat your chest and yeah, I remember that last time. She's like, I didn't like that last time. And inside, man, you just died. Guess what? On her side, this is a cry for help. What you need to see at that point is that opportunity where you become the hero. Because when you say, okay, so how then can I make this different? How then what would it take to make that be the experience for you? Now she is ready. Because she is saying, oh, he really wants to know what works for me. And it isn't just about him. He really cares about me. He really loves me. And if there's one thing that I've come to realize about women, especially since I have mostly female friends, is you get that emotional connection and everything else is that much easier. Now, I could be spilling trade secrets, or I could just be having real talk. Women, correct me if I'm wrong. But this is some of the things that Laura Watson is talking about. And so here it is. We have this dialogue. She says, this doesn't work for me. Could we try? In fact, you shouldn't even be waiting for her to be saying, could we try? Right then and there, you should be saying, okay, what do you need? I am here for you. What do you need? Because that's the other thing. You're, at this point, ensuring that you get at least one more chance. You get at least one more attempt at this. And if this attempt is just a minuscule, a fraction better than the last, then it shows that you're improving and you will get another attempt after that. So if that is what, as according to Laurie, since men are down for the physical and we're always ready to go, then this should work out in everybody's favor. So now she gets a little bit closer to that point and he gets to take her there. Men, we're the heroes at that point. Yeah, she hasn't yet gone to the promised land, but she can see it that much closer. Now, women, another thing that I believe you should take into consideration is knowing how to get there yourself. Because at this point now, you know how to direct him with how to get there. You know that when you get touched here, when you're nibbled here, or if you go into this position, that works for you. At this pace, with this intensity. There are these little things that make a big difference. And you get to make an experiment, you get to make a science experiment out of it. And the results could be amazing. But again, only with communication. So, going on, Laura Watson says sex is contextual. And while many women do learn orgasm through self stimulation, what did I say? A large proportion begin their sexual lives within a relationship or hookup. The first time they are touched intimately may be by another person, whereas nearly all men start their sexual lives with masturbation. Well, I guess because we're more physical beings. Feeling sexual desire, at its core, the rawest form of vulnerability. To want our lover to touch us and bring us pleasure is to experience need. Often, relationships' ups and downs cause women to withdraw. They withdraw desire and protect their heart in a way that men don't or can't, given their biological drive. Her need to feel emotionally safe before the sexual moment cannot be overstated. Romance and seduction are ways that both men and women can co-create and a context for sex that helps her separate from the cares of her day and the mental checklist of things to do, and brings her to a place of vulnerability. Now, again, I dare say, that place of vulnerability comes once that woman opens her mouth and says, "Babe, that time didn't really do it for me." Don't see it as an attack on your masculinity, gentlemen. See it as a cry for help, the cry for help that it is. Help our relationship to grow that much better. That is what that is. It's not an attack. Unless, of course, you're in an argument and she said, "But you realize that you can't even get me there." And she rolls that neck. Then you know that's an attack. But outside of that, no. We're talking about growth. Collective growth. So women see sex as an aspect of love. And men, we need to pay attention to that bit of information. Sex, talking, hanging out, working together, managing our home and family as a team, feeling appreciated, celebrating holidays, giving and receiving gifts and affection may all comprise love for a woman. Comprise love for a woman. Sex is part of the whole, not the defining factor. And making love may flow from the warmth she feels in the relationship, but it's not necessarily the source of the heat. So, you might remember last week we talked about the love languages and what they are and how they're expressed and how to work through them. And these are some of the very same languages that are mentioned here as it relates to sex. The aspects of love, the hanging out, quality time, working together, acts of service, feeling appreciated, celebrating holidays, giving and receiving gifts. So we're talking about acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts. What am I leaving out? Um, I'm leaving out two, but I guess y'all can help me with the other two as we go along. Hey Julie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, one more thing that Laurie says as it relates to women and how they view sex. She says women see sex is a way she gives love. And she goes on to say, I'm absolutely not implying that women are obliged to give sex when they don't want to. But sometimes she may recognize her partner's need for sex, and despite her own lack of inclination, she may want to meet his need. If there's relational warmth and goodwill, this offering can be a real gift of love. It can frustrate her efforts when her partner insists, but I want you to want it. Because he discounts her motive of love, insisting that sex drive should be her real impetus. But because she often feels desire after arousal, she often also finds herself glad that she started making love. Some women feel deep satisfaction in sexual intercourse, even if it comes without her orgasm. While most of the time we want to feel like we're on the same page with our partner before having sex, sometimes it's having sex that gets us on that page. And that is one of the things that I was stressing on for quite a good 5 minutes, 7 minutes. That communication, that connecting, that takes you to that place where you say, yes, this is where I want to be. This is where I like to be. This is where I strive to be. This is where I want to live. Let's build our house here. Men and women both need to feel deeply attached to their partner for happiness. But our starting place is often different. Emotional intimacy combined with sexual intimacy is a combination that creates a passionate marriage or partnership. Finding that way to connect the dots, finding that happy medium between the two, that's a sweet spot. How do we get to the sweet spot? It takes work. What kind of work we're talking about? Men, leave your egos at the door. Women, leave the attitude at the door. And let's communicate in a mature way. Something didn't work for you? Well, let's talk about it. How can we make that better? Don't just say, you know what, this didn't work for me. You need to do better. That doesn't, as a man, that doesn't help me one bit. You tell me that, when I thought that I was doing the world and presenting you with that mountaintop experience that just took you shot you into outer space, that was only me in my head working through what I was feeling. It did nothing for you. And when you tell me that and I'm less than grounded, it doesn't help. So we need to know, what we can do to make it better. So here are some ways that we can upgrade our sex lives. And you might be thinking, boy, can we really? Is there a way? Has it gone bad already and we can't? Is there really something that we can do to fix this? And there's always hope. And once there's hope, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, we can find it. I want to say thank you to Althea for taking us through this segment, and thank you to this segment sponsor, Reggae Global Entertainment. Reggae Global will act as your booking agents, take care of your tour management, handle your trademarks, your publishing, your copyrights, your business registration, your music production, e-blasts, marketing and promotion, and so much more. give them a call, 954 998 8034, or check them out online, reggaeglobalentertainment.com. Thank you very much, Reggae Global, for sponsoring this segment of the broadcast. So, you're not quite sure how, when it happened. You used to have great sex, but suddenly it just isn't what it used to be. You have that feeling, that you have that experience. So 11 o'clock rolls around, 11 p.m. rolls around. You're more interested in whatever is on TV than in a steamy session with your partner or even yourself. Even when you do work up the energy, sex feels predictable. The excitement, the passion, gone. The thing is, you, me, everybody, we like sex. And some more than others, but we typically like it a lot. And we love our partners, right? So, what's going on? And there are all kinds of emotional barriers to having good sex, from poor body image to boredom. And Laura Berman, sex therapist and director of the Berman Center in Chicago, and author of The Passion Prescription, says the good news is that you can get beyond those things and reconnect with your sensuality. So, how do you go about doing this? For starters, you can start liking yourself naked. Women who have the best sex lives feel good about their bodies. This says Joy Davidson, a sex therapist in New York and the author of Fearless Sex. They see themselves as strong and sexy. Now, unfortunately, according to Berman, up to 80% of women in the United States suffer from negative body image. Typically, when a woman looks at herself, her eyes go straight to her problem areas. She carries that feeling into the bedroom, and when her partner is kissing her thighs, she's busy thinking about how she is self-conscious about them. She's saying, boy, my thighs are too big or too small. But whatever it is, she's missing out on that experience. To boost your body confidence, give yourself a reality check. The next time you're at the store or in the gym, take a look around. Look at all the attractive women and look who they are. Look at the variety of shapes and sizes. And take note that, each of these women probably think something negative about themselves, but each of them probably has someone that says they're magnificent. Remind yourself there is no one ideal. Then ask your partner what they love about your body. Write that down. Read the list every morning, and then finally compliment yourself at least once a week. Stand in front of the mirror naked and focus on your favorite features. Not just the ones that you see on the outside, but the ones you recognize on the inside. Touch each part and say out loud what you like about it. And this will help to reinforce your feelings. If you haven't done so, try it. Try connecting with your body on this level. And see what kind of results you get. Then you want to make the mind-body connection. Think about those moments in your life when you feel completely in tune with your body. Maybe it's after you finish a long run, your blood is pumping and you're relaxed and exhilarated. Or perhaps it's when you do yoga and achieve a mind body meld. Chances are this doesn't happen often enough. When a woman has a negative self image, she tends to disconnect from how her body feels. To re establish the bond, do something that makes you feel good in your skin at least once a day. Treat yourself to a massage. Go fruit picking with the children. Wear jeans that give you an ego boost the minute you slide them on. Or a top that enhances you in ways that even you go, wow. Whenever you're tuned into your body and what it's capable of, you're naturally more sensual. Then another thing to do is to swear off sex. And you might be thinking, but wait, what? Isn't the objective to get to have a better sexual experience? Well, it's extreme, but funny enough, it's effective and highly effective. That's because when you tell yourself you can't have something, you want it even more. The same is true in the bedroom, especially if you and your partner have been together for a while and sex has become a little bit automatic. Instead of focusing on the end game, learn to enjoy the sensuality of sex. Tease yourself and your partner. Get undressed, dim the lights, take turns exploring each other's bodies. When you're the one doing the touching, concentrate on communicating love and sensuality to your partner. When you're on the receiving end, let yourself feel the sensations of every stroke. This will help you reconnect with each other on a whole new level. Not only doing that, but by the time you're done, you'll be so excited, you'll barely be able to stand it. But just wait. For a night or two, just wait and let the anticipation build. Now, it's, again, in my opinion, you want to be careful about the waiting because you don't want to lose that. And life has a way, Murphy has a way of stepping in with their laws, with his laws. And you know, Murphy's law, if something can go wrong, it will. But we don't have to live by it. But definitely be mindful of the experience that you're having. Be present in that build up. And then you want to add a few thrills. After a few years together, it is easy to get lazy in bed, but you both deserve better. If you don't put energy into the relationship, you won't get energy out of it. Research shows that new and adventurous activities may stimulate the brain to produce dopamine. Of course, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in sexual desire. Do something daring outside the bedroom, and your dopamine levels may just shoot off. And what will happen is that you'll take your sex drive with it. So now you have revived something that has possibly gone to sleep. Challenge your partner to a heart-pounding activity like rock climbing or whitewater rafting. Something. Experiencing something new and exhilarating together may replicate that feeling you had in the beginning and your relationship when the beginning of your relationship when you could barely get enough of each other. Then tell them how to turn you on. Again, the mature conversations. Your partner likely wants to be your knight in shining armor when it comes to sex. They're eager for you to tell them what feels good. The problem is so many women out there are out of touch with their own bodies. They have no idea what to say. Help them and yourself, ladies, by showing them what turns you on. Put your hand on top of theirs and guide them in how you want to be touched. Listen, as a man, I can tell you, I think that is one of the sexiest things there is to do. Guide me into what works for you. I would be a happy man and you would be a happy woman. And if I'm happy, you're happy, then everybody happy. What more do you want? When you're ready to move on to oral sex or bringing toys, sex toys, talk. This is the only way the man is going to know what works for you, ladies. Change your routine. When you're stressed out, it is impossible to feel sexy. And that's because when you experience chronic tension, your body produces higher levels of oxytocin, a chemical that cancels out the effect of the sex hormone testosterone. As a result, your libido takes a nosedive. So what do? Recharge your sexual batteries by doing things that lets you take a break from your hectic day of everyday life. Play some music that reminds you of your college days and sing along, or your high school days even. Sing along with it. Splurge on something that you'd never normally buy. And wear it. Well, I don't know how many places are open in these COVID times, but I've been seeing a lot more places open up. So get that thing and wear it. Or pull out that new item that you haven't worn in a year because places have been shut down. Go out. When you are relaxed and feeling good about yourself, sex will start to seem within the realm of possibility again. Then you want to also make the first move. Can be quite challenging, because some people say, boy, women would say it's the man that's supposed to make the first move. A study at the University of Virginia found that the leading predictor of a woman's marital happiness was the level of her spouse's emotional engagement. If you two are spending quality time together, you're happy. But when you're feeling disconnected, your relationship and your sex life may suffer. And here's why. A common relationship dynamic is that one person needs to feel close. So, how then do you break that stalemate? That one person needs to feel close to their partner to be inspired to make love, right? The other partner needs sex to feel close. So, what do? Make the first move. Do something simple like thanking your partner for taking out the trash. When you give them a little gratitude, it's a huge bonding moment for you both. And in response, your partner will start tuning back into what you need. And you'll be much more likely to want them in return. So you give a little, you get a little, and you give a little, and you get a little, and you get a little, and you give a little. And then things start to get better. Another on this list on how to have good sex is to turn chores into foreplay. Now, we see this on TV quite a bit, when in that show, when she is doing dishes and he walks into the kitchen and he spots her on the butt, and that leads to running to the bedroom. That's how it goes. Turn chores into foreplay. Even in this enlightened age, women still spend about an hour or more each day than men on household chores and childcare, of course. No wonder so many women are not in the mood. Research at Cornell University shows that men that when men pitch in around the house, their wives are much more likely to be satisfied with the relationship and to want more sex. All he needs to hear is that helping out is a form of foreplay. The next thing you know, he'll be pushing past you to wipe the counter, change the kitchen litter, and unload the dishwasher. Well, granted that this is what triggers men, you know, if men knows that the end result, that basically what she's saying here, what is being said here, is that because for men the reward is that sexual experience, then when you let them know that this is what is going to take us to that sexual experience, then boom, they're in. Another thing to do is to leave your house. It's good to escape from work, the kids, the dust bunnies, the chores, and go concentrate on each other. If you can't head off for the weekend, go out for an evening. But mix it up. Pick a place you've never been and order a dish you've never had. Better yet, visit your partner at work. Seeing them in a place that doesn't have anything to do with you will reveal a different side of them and reconnect you with the person that you fell in love with. You might see or learn something surprising that makes you view them in a sexier way. Try it. What do you have to lose? And what is considered the best secret yet to having great sex? If you need another reason to exercise, consider this. Working out is a great way to boost your sex life. It stimulates not only the body, but the nervous system and the brain. So you're more physiologically excited and more receptive to sex. Exercise strengthens your cardiovascular system, improves circulation, and gets blood flowing to all the right places. Remember we were talking about this? Yes, we were, just last night in Healthy Love. It also gets you in the mood by reducing stress and boosting your self-esteem. Working out gives you a sense of pride and accomplishment. When you do it consistently, it makes you feel good about yourself. And that is why working out is a great form of foreplay, especially when you do the lower body exercises for better sex. Now, just as important, exercise helps you to tune into your body and tune out the world. Weight training, Pilates, these things that force you to focus on your muscles and your form are especially good. Your attention is fully on you. You really feel every move, and that puts you in a more sensual state. That's kind of what you want happening, right? That's the end result that you're looking for. So, in looking at all of these things, why, if we're looking for this place of pleasure, when we're on this journey, that everything it speaks to being connecting on a psychological level. It speaks to knowing where to touch, to connecting throughout the day. But here we go, and we encounter that moment where all of that falls into place, but it just isn't quite right because you're not feeling it the way you should. And when you in that discussion and you go, but you're not feeling it how? Well, there needs to be a little bit of pain. Now, talk about something that can throw you off. I remember talking with someone, and she was saying when her partner, when she realized that she had really gotten to that place with her partner, um, he he had gotten a little bit rough with her, and she was like, "Yes, this is it. Now we have gotten to that place. We have made it. This is it. He is the one." And their lives had never been the same again. Many people think of pain and sex as quite incompatible. Like my friend, it was the thing. That was the cement that was needed for their relationship. Because sex is about pleasure, right? And pain has nothing to do with that, right? Well, for some individuals, pain and pleasure can sometimes overlap in a sexual context. But then others might be asking, how exactly does this happen? According to medicalnewstoday.com, the relationship between pain and sexual pleasure has lit up the imaginations of many writers and artists, and its undertones of forbidden, mischievous enjoyment. Hey Yanni, how you doing, guys? In 1954, the erotic novel Story of O by Anne Desclause caused a stir in France, and with its explicit references to bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism, an array of sexual practices referred to as BDSM. Recently, the series 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James has sold millions of copies worldwide, fueling the erotic fantasies of its readers. Still, practices that involve an overlap of pain and pleasure are often shrouded in mystery and mythologized. And people who admit to engaging in rough play in the bedroom often face stigma and unwanted attention. So, what happens when an individual finds pleasure in pain during foreplay or sexual intercourse? Why is pain pleasurable for them? And are there any risks when it comes to engaging in rough play? What we're going to look at is why physical pain can sometimes be a source of pleasure when the overlap of pain and pleasure are not healthful also. We'll be looking at both physiological and psychological explanations. First of all, unless a person is specifically interested in experiencing painful sensations as part of their sexual gratification, sex should not be painful for the people engaging in it. And if it is, and it is not something that is medically causing it, and they're not enjoying it, then it needs to stop. Well, actually, even if it is if it's a medical problem, I would suggest that you kind of ease off of that and do something else. People may experience pain during intercourse for various health-related reasons, including conditions such as vaginismus, injuries or infections of the vulva or vagina, or injuries and infections of the penises or testicles. If you experience unwanted pain of any other discomfort in your genitals during sex, it is best to speak to a healthcare professional about it. Healthy, mutually consenting adults sometimes seek to experience painful sensations as an enhancer of sexual pleasure and arousal. This can be as part of BDSM practices or simply an occasional kink to spice up one's sex life. You know, you have candles in the room and you're engaging in that really sensual moment, and someone reaches for the candle and drips some wax on you. That can be that thing that really tips that experience one way or another. But so it takes us back to that question of how can pain be pleasurable? And according to evolutionary theory, for humans and other mammals, pain functions largely as a warning system, denoting the danger of a physical threat. For instance, getting burned or scalded hurts, and this discourages us from stepping into a fire or getting burned to a crisp or drinking boiling water or damaging our body irreversibly. Yet, physiologically speaking, pain and pleasure have more in common than one might actually think. And research has shown that sensations of pain and pleasure activate the same neural mechanisms in the brain. Hence the thin line between pleasure and pain. They are both tied to the interacting dopamine and opioid systems in the brain, which regulates neurotransmitters that are involved in reward or motivation-driven behaviors, which include eating, drinking, and ding ding ding, sex. In terms of brain regions, both pleasure and pain seem to activate the nucleus accumbens, the pallidum, and the amygdala, which are involved in the brain's reward system, regulating motivation-driven behaviors. Thus, the high experienced by people who find painful sensations sexually arousing is similar to that experienced by athletes as they push their bodies to the limit. There's also a complex psychological side to finding pleasure in sensations of pain. First of all, a person's experience of pain can be highly dependent on the context in which the painful stimuli occur. Experiencing pain from a knife cut in the kitchen or pain related to surgery is bound to be unpleasant in most, if not all, cases. However, when a person is experiencing physical pain in a context in which they are also experiencing positive emotions, their sense of pain actually decreases. So when having sex and with a trusted partner, the positive emotions associated with the act could blunt sensations of pain resulting from rough play. Hence why my friend said, this is the one, she has found him, and this is it. She's good to go from this point on. At the same time, voluntarily experienced pain during sex or erotic play can surprisingly have positive psychological effects. And the main one is interpersonal bonding. So, 2 studies with results collectively published in Archives of Sexual Behavior in 2009 found that participants who engaged in consensual sadomasochistic acts as part of erotic play experienced a heightened sense of bonding with their partners and an increase in emotional trust. In their study paper, the researchers concluded that although the physiological reactions of bottoms, the submissive partners, and tops, the dominant partners, tended to differ, the psychological reactions converged, with bottoms and tops reporting increases in relationship closeness after their scenes, after their BDSM erotic play. Another reason for engaging in rough play during sex is that escapism. Is that of escapism, and the escape rooms seem to be the big thing these days, right? Pain, as explained by authors of a review published in the journal Sex Research, can focus attention on the present moment and away from abstract high level thought. In this way, the authors continue, pain may facilitate a temporary reprieve or escape from the burdensome responsibilities of adulthood. So it takes them away from this particular moment in time. A study from 2015 found that many people who practiced BDSM reported that their erotic practices helped them to de-stress and escape the daily routine and worries. The study authors, Ali Hebert and Professor Angela Weaver, write that many of the participants stated that one of the motivating factors for engaging in BDSM was that it allowed them to take a break from their everyday life. To illustrate this point, the two quote one participant who chose to play submissive roles, saying, quote, "It is a break free from your real world. It's like giving yourself a break." Now, that may not sound as profound as it is. It may not sound as profound as it actually is, but until you experience it, then a lot of us want that escape. We want that getaway, and sometimes it only comes in the form of something that lasts for, I don't know, 20 minutes. And for some people, pain in pleasure is that thing. So, what then would you say are some of the potential side effects of play? People can experience negative psychological effects after engaging in rough play. And no matter how experienced they are and how much they care, they can take in setting healthful boundaries for an erotic scene. Among BDSM practitioners, this negative side effect is known as sub-drop, or simply drop. And it refers to experiences of sadness and depression that can set in either immediately after engaging in rough sexual play or days after the event. Researchers Richard Sprott and Anna Randall argue that while the emotional crash that some people experience immediately after rough play could be due to hormonal changes in the moment, drops that occur days later most likely have other explanations. They argue that feelings of depression days after erotic play correspond to a feeling of loss or the peak experience of rough sexual play that grants a person psychological respite in the moment. Like the high offered by the mix of pleasure and pain in the moment, which may be akin to the highs experienced by performance athletes. The researchers liken the afterplay low with that experienced by Olympic sports people in the aftermath of competition, which is also referred to as post-Olympic depression. In order to prevent or cope with feeling down after an intense high during erotic play, it is important for a person and their partner or partners to carefully plan aftercare, both at the physical and psychological level, discussing individual needs and worries in detail. Now, whatever a person decides to engage in to spice up their sex life, the key is always consent. All the people practicing in sexual encounter must offer explicit and enthusiastic consent for all parts of that encounter. And they must be able to stop practicing if they are no longer interested and willing. Use that safe word. If you don't have one, get one. Once anybody that I've spoken to that has engaged in BDSM play, they always say, I have that safe word. We have a safe word, and we have a word that is in between the safe word and the go word, and we have the go word. So, the communication, again, plays a big role in this aspect of their relationship. Research suggests that fantasies about unusual or rough sexual play are very common. And some people decide to take the fantasy out of the realm of imagination and make it a reality. If you decide to stray from the vanilla sex and try other flavors, that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with you if you decide to do that. Just make sure that you stay safe and only engage in what you enjoy and feel comfortable doing. Again, to know what you enjoy and feel comfortable doing, you have to be aware, you have to be present, and you have to communicate that with your partner. And sometimes it may be a little bit off putting, it may be a little bit uncomfortable, it may be a little bit, well, initially it may seem ego crushing, but at the end of the day, you're all going to benefit from it. And whether it is just two of you in the relationship or you have multiple partners, whichever way you however you roll, communication, a sense of self, these things will, in my opinion, be the ultimate to that love-making experience. It will take you to that place that you've never been before, and if you have been there before, it will let you go back. Communication, being aware of self. I don't know how simpler it could be, if it could be any simpler. This is where we wrap things up for the night shift for this week. This is where we put a stop on the information side of real talk for tonight as we explore the pleasure principles, how men view sex, how women view sex, how we can improve our sex lives, and where does pain come in when addressing pleasure. Why it is that some people want that roughness in their sexual experience. It is because it takes them away from their daily lives. Experiencing that little bit of pain gets them in the moment. It helps them to pay attention to what is happening in the now. And this is probably why it is that you find people that have high profile jobs as the people that would engage in some of these acts. You have the judges, the lawyers, the doctors, people that you would look up to, so to speak, or society has placed on certain pedestals as the ones that, as society would have it, are engaging in these things that are so hush hush. You know what I mean? But these people need outlets too. They want to disconnect from all that. Although it is what it is that keeps a roof over their head. Although it may be that thing that they really love to do. Even what we love, we want to be away from every now and then. Those of us as parents, we love our children to death. But what would we give on occasions to just be by ourselves, to be away from them? And it doesn't mean that we love them any less. And this is the very same thing with these individuals in their personal lives. But at the end of the day, find out what works for you. Talk to your partner or your partners. Share, and share some more. And ultimately, that will lead to the experience of a lifetime. We're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, it's musical therapy time. I'm also going to bounce off Facebook Live. Actually, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'ma give Facebook Live some tunes and then we're gonna bounce off. How about that? We can work with that, right? Cool. Let's do it. You see, when you make Bose press button.
I'm gonna stay by your side now that you makes me.
Starting off with new music from Novelty. It's called 2 Makes 1.
I never thought that I would say this, but now I know that it's the truth, that I don't ever wanna
18 minutes to the top of the hour, 18 minutes before I close out the night shift for this week.
and though I try to be a good girl,
It's what we call musical therapy.
I don't know what I'd do to someone who tried to do you any harm. 'Cause there was no sun in my life, no ray of hope. When I saw you smiling so bright, knew right there we had to be together. Now that 2 makes 1, I never lose count again. Now that we are one, now that 2 makes 1, I never lose count again. Now that we are one, count And every time I start to tell you about the other lovers I knew, you always tell me that it's just you who is a lover with a mind. And if I ever try to hide from, or even to deny some of all the lessons I have learned from, I know you'll always be the one. 'Cause when there is strain in my life, you lighten the load. When there is pain in your life, see you call to come and make it better. Now that 2 makes 1,
It's called 2 Makes 1.
count again.
New music from Novelty.
We are
I want to say thank you to my segment sponsor, GMAT Music Solutions, bringing your event to life, providing sound, light and stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers, and more. Give them a call, 754-307-4622, or check them out online at gmatmusicsolutions.com, where you can also do your online shopping.
Hey, beautiful woman, you're radiantly smiling, girl. Gotta have you.
This is the sound of Phil Watkins, working out with Anne Marie. It's called Give You My Love.
It's been a while since I've been trying to get you in my life, oh girl. You deny and I keep trying. Someday I gotta make you mine. Don't listen to what people say. Rumors won't get us anywhere. I've got so much love to share. Like make a child my own. Let me give you my love. Let me give you my love. Let me satisfy all your needs. I love you from a long time, but in my past, nothing lasts. I don't wanna move too fast. Scared to give my heart away, even from my past mistakes. If it's real, then you will wait. I wanna give you my all. Then you give me your love. If you just stick around, then you can satisfy all my needs.
I want to thank you all for giving me your love this week.
Girl, I can't wait.
Phil Watkins working out with Anne Marie.
They say patience is a virtue.
Yeah, I like it. That nice little bone. Huh? I want to remind you, coming up this weekend, I'm Every Woman on April 11th, the virtual expo. Everyone is invited. You can register for free on islandhope.org. That's islandhope.org. Let's go ahead and register for the I'm Every Woman Virtual Health Expo.
Hey baby, oh baby, got my magic love, your love, listen girl, abracadabra, form of a better rule.
This is the sound of Lee Kelly.
In the scent of your sweet perfume,
The track is called Magic.
focus, now you're in the
Do you feel it?
just that I lie, yeah. Don't lose focus of what I'm about to show you tonight. I can do magic, whoa. One snap of a finger, girl, I perform a trick on you. Anything you want me to do, I can do magic, girl. All you gotta do is dim the lights. I perform a trick or two, baby. 'Cause I can do magic. I ain't no psychic, but I know just what you need, girl. You don't have to write it. Just looking at your body, I can't read, yeah. You're giving me the eye, and it's making me want you back, girl. Turn around, and guess what's in my hand? One snap of a finger, girl. I perform a trick on you. Anything you want me to do, yeah. Magic, all you gotta do is in the light, baby. I can do magic. I'll make your home disappear. Out of nowhere. They'll want your room to love me. They say you know to me.
But when it come to money, me not so much, but me alright. Come to loving me, have enough figure all night. Real type of love for make my woman satisfied. Feel like she touching the sky.
This is that track I hit you with last night.
Never fed that way together we lay. She says she like
Y'all know I like this track, right? It's Cesar.
tonight we're gonna do things different.
It's called Love Machine.
You be my love machine. Will you make love to me? Girl, I wanna touch your butt. Yeah, let you show me something. Will you be my fantasy? And give me what I need. Will you be my love machine?
Hey, Lady Tia.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh.
How you doing, love?
Every night, girl, I give my love to you. So tonight, girl, I wanna try something new. You always whisper in my ear and tell me that you want me. Yeah, yeah. Well, tonight I hope you really want me enough to be my love machine. Will you make love to me? Girl, I wanna touch your buttons. Yeah, let you show me something. So may be my fantasy and give me what I need. Won't you be my love machine? Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I can run it maximum speed. Me run every stop.
This is the sound of Heads Run. For all the Headzites out there. The track is called Maximum Speed. I'm doing well, dear.
Session stop. Everything.
As Bones in Jerusalem Musical Therapy as I close out this night shift week.
And I know me nearly about to talk. How she feed
Mr. G working out with Novelty.
It's right now.
It's called Love Won't Let Us Wait.
So close to you.
As we close out this week, I want to remind you I'm on Saturday for the Saturday Stew on Reggae Global Radio and ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network. Come hang out with me. Get a taste of the secret ingredients. Hear some life experiences with Pre-Life, courtesy of Red Fox. This happens at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, you get a more musical side of me that night.
And being so close to you even makes it stronger. Somehow
You say you love her.
holding you so steady, I know you feel me trembling.
Okay, so as we get out of here, I want to encourage you to remember members of your community. And your community is not just a development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. So be mindful of those that you pass on the bus, on the plane, or the boat, or the train, whether they walk, ride, or drive, because these people, they're members of your community, and one of them will do something good for you one of these days. You just never know when. So do something good for one of them today, right? Don't wait.
There is something about this moment.
My name is DJ Kevin Stewart. So I like to do it to you, for you, and with you every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Mondays with community and finance, Tuesdays with healthy love, and Wednesdays with real talk.
Thing about this moment, everything is fine.
Catch me on Sunday with Bar Talk with Luke Valentine.
And make you mine.
Aired live on Facebook Live, courtesy of Jamaicans.com.
Not a minute longer.
And again on Saturday, the Saturday Stew, 8 p.m. Eastern, Reggae Global Radio, the Foundation Radio Network.
Here I am with open arms, anticipating.
Just the thought of being with you is so
Bring it on. It's been a long, long time since I've embraced someone,
This is Sound of Lady Tia.
for I never knew this love
Tell you, hey, listen.
before.
Yeah, you just need to bring it on.
You make my heart skip several beats. Yes, you swept me off my feet. I'm head over heels in love, and there's no retreat. You can tell by the way you see me glow that my love has overflowed. The vibes I feel right now, it's all because of you. Said you wanna wrap me up and keep me warm. Give me good love from dusk till dawn. I'm ready, baby. Just bring it on. Come take my hand and let us go to where we've never been before. You and me, baby, lost in ecstasy. Whisper sweet words in my ear. Show me how much you care. Just keep on holding me. Let's live out this fantasy. You can tell by the way you see me glow that my love has overflowed. The vibes I feel right now, it's all because of you. Said you wanna wrap me up and keep me warm. Give me good love from dusk till dawn. I'm ready, baby. Just bring it on.
late last night. She called me on the phone. Asking would I be
This is Kirk Davis.
She's feeling all alone.
Many of you know him as Little Kirk.
Cause I felt free. Was late to keep
Track called That's the Way Love Goes.
me to count.
And this is where I go.
Her body's calling me. But I
Hey, listen, we get to do it all over again come next week.
selfish of me.
If our lives are spared, that is. But as we go into the strong end, I do encourage you to be good. If you can't be good at it. Y'all take care until we do it again. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world from right here in South Florida. I bid you a good night.
That's the way I go. I try to explain, she don't believe a word I say. I'm cheating and she's hurt. It's getting on her nerve. She asks me why and where she go wrong. She said she thought this love was strong. She didn't know that all along that I was lying in a man's girl's arms. Selfish of me, she never crossed my phone. But there I was, still love on the side, and I could never tell her where I've been, because I know it hurts me within. Oh, I love her so. Sometimes that's the way I go. Baby, I know that I've done you wrong, but you should know that it's still wrong. Sure, I want you
Yes, my
back.
people. Check out I Red Funks on Reggae Global Radio every Saturday at 8 p.m. with Kev Stew. Where I'll give you a pre-life, brand new, good for you. Kick it like a ball if you don't see a dance hall. You hear that?
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment. Greetings and salutations. This is DJ Kevin Stew inviting you to bubble up and simmer down with me in the Saturday Stew right here on Reggae Global Radio. Get ready for the special segment called The Secret Ingredient, where you may hear from your favorite artist or producer. Saturday Stew happens every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time exclusively on ReggaeGlobalRadio.com, where we get high on reggae.